Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Live with Alan and Greg, and our guest, Genre Reads, Gavin. So say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Uh,
And Greg, it's Genre Books.
I said Gavin.
Genre Books.
Genre Books. Okay.
Books.
Books. Okay. All right.
Not that the branding matters that much. I'm not having t-shirts done.
What did I say?
Reads.
Oh.
I do read.
That all the
I do
time.
read. I don't care what you call me, as long as you call me.
I say Hannah reads. I say,
So anyway.
Yeah, that's
we got people in the chat room. Say hello. It's usually a different crew when we do this early, and that's always fun to see our European chat room people. You don't get to make it that often. So hello.
There's Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Well, hello, Pat. Well, Pat's retired like us, so she can do it anytime she wants to.
But she keeps a really good, tight schedule. Like she's up at 5 and then she hits the gym. Well, you walk every day.
I walk every day.
That's really good, Greg.
And I hits the gym.
Are you walking to the gym?
Nick. Pardon?
Are you walking to the gym, though?
No. I have a path near my house, and I can walk down the path, and going to the end, going to the back is either 40 minutes or half an hour, depending if I go to the abandoned golf course or not. And then on rainy days, we have an actual gym in the lodge for my community, but I only use that when it rains or it's too nasty to walk outside.
Yeah.
Hey, Gareth.
Hey, Gareth.
Hello, Hannah.
Hey, Hannah.
Leslie.
My hand.
Family and Books. Paula. Hey, all. Currently sprinting myself, but had to drop in, by, and boop the like button. Thank you, Paula. Excuse me. You know what I noticed? We've got Gareth. He's in Steinbeck Summer. Hannah's in Steinbeck Summer. All three of us are in Steinbeck Summer. And in Steinbeck. So I wonder if other Steinbeckers in here. A lot of people are reading Steinbeck this summer.
Yeah, that Voxer group is really exploding.
I think Pat mentioned it in the video the other day.
Oh, that'll do it.
And no, this is really weird. It started off in Horror Mayhem.
I never knew that. I thought it started with you, Greg, at first, and then
no, it was me and Randy. He mentioned something about Steinbeck, and I mentioned, it would be great to read The Grapes of Wrath and East of Eden back to back, and just determine which one is the better novel.
Yeah.
And then Gareth started the group, and it's just taken off, and it's just like totally off the cuff, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. He's a great American writer. He really is. East of Eden is one of my favorite. I've read it twice, so this will be my third time. I read it with my father for the second time, and me and my dad are reading this now. I must admit we had to start early because him and his girlfriend are leaving. They rented a RV, and they're going from Phoenix to Toledo and Cleveland, get away for the summer. And she has relatives back then, etc. But we started early. I forgot how great this book. He's just great. Oh, I don't want to spoil anything.
No, I mean I've only read Grapes once and East of Eden once.
Mm-hmm. I've read Grapes a long time ago, but I still remember a couple of specific scenes. And but I forgot how it began. So it's a real treat.
Yeah. Grapes of Wrath has one of my favorite scenes in all American literature.
Oh. What?
And it's not a huge spoiler.
Okay.
It's where workmen have come to do a job, and they have like 30 people show up for the job with 10 spots.
Yeah, you mentioned this. Go ahead.
And they start bidding down their salaries and how low they'll work for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like how you understand how and why they had to do it, but it's just devastating to think that's how businesses go.
Yeah, it starts out like that too, with the banks and
So I'm looking forward. I might start a day or two early as well. depending on the books that I'm reading this week, and in the next week I might start a little bit early.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading a lot this summer. Next month too, I'm reading a lot. But I mean, then I'm buddy reading with Pat that The Winter of Our Discontent, his last novel.
That would be August, right?
No, I hopefully we'll read it next month because I can read it next month. Because
I thought we were doing East of Eden in July.
Yeah, we are. But I'm talking about
East of Eden and Winter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I'll be done with this, and I'll be done with this by June.
Okay.
Because I'm only reading this, and then the time. Well, I'll get into what I'm reading, but
yeah, we'll get into. Well, I've been seriously considered reading Winter of Our Discontent.
Oh, well, join us because Patricia H. might too.
We'll see.
Patricia H. Yeah, she
has a lot of
her favorite Steinbeck.
Whose is it favorite?
Patricia H., commenter extraordinaire from Washington.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of it's going to be. I have a lot of books coming in from the library that I put on hold.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
And some of them are big.
Oh.
So we'll have to see. All right. Let's get through the comments and then talk about what we've been reading. Hannah. Yeah. Hit the like button. Steinbeckers. I guess we are Steinbeck. Yeah. And Jenny. Hello, Jenny.
Hey,
Hello.
Jenny.
Jim's voting for East of Eden. Well, Jim.
Yeah, love that book.
Or to get it right, you got to read them back to back, then say which one's the best. At least that's how I'm going to do it. Gareth, I was waffling about what I bought in Brighton to the horror chat. I bought 3 Steinbeck nonfiction books. Okay. It's grown crazy like that, which is great. Yeah, Gareth, I think this is just one of those serendipitous things that it's just going to be amazing. I really think it's going to be good. Hey, Constance.
Hello.
Jenny says, never read Steinbeck. Think that needs to change. I think you're right.
There's so many ways to start, and lots of very quick ways to start as well as Steinbeck.
If you want to just dip in real quick for a really powerful story of mice and men.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yep.
I mean, you can read that in a night. Most people, I mean, depending on what kind of night, most people can read in a day. But it's such a powerful book.
Make you laugh, make you cry, make you.
I don't remember that many laughs in the book, but
it's kind of.
I really like The Pearl. I thought that was.
I've not read The Pearl.
And that's I think it's almost like a novella. I think that is very brief from memory.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's like mandatory reading in high school.
Yeah, I only have this Steinbeck behind me. Oh. The other Steinbeck is in the other room.
Yeah, I haven't read all his stuff. I haven't read Cannery Row. I haven't read Tortilla Flat, although a lot of people don't like that one too well. They rank that low.
I liked Cannery Row. Again, I read most of my Steinbeck when I was a teenager. So this is I did do 2 last year, but that was my first Steinbeck I'd read in probably a couple of decades.
Oh.
I did A Cup of Gold and The Moon is Down last year.
Oh.
Which one did I read last year? I read the propaganda novel. I think that's
The Moon is Down. Yeah,
that's the one he wrote as propaganda. That everyone in Europe absolutely loved that book, probably because they really felt what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And Cup of Gold was his first, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was very different.
Oh.
It was fun, but it's just like, okay, you're writing a historical novel about pirates.
Oh,
I did not see that coming.
Okay.
And it's Captain Henry Morgan.
Okay.
As in Captain Morgan's rum.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have a little bit of Captain Morgan's rum left upstairs.
Well, bring it out.
Yeah, my wife has her card buddies playing cards.
Oh, you don't want to disturb that.
No.
Excuse me, I'm just up here for my rum.
And there's not enough to share.
Uh-huh.
So let's get to the comments, and then let's talk about. Well, we got a lot of commenters. Marcia says first and only Steinbeck was Mice and Men. Gareth, Mice and Men is really short but absolutely incredible. Pearl is really good too. Travels with Charlie is fun. A trip he did near the end of his life around America with his standard. I want to read that. I don't know if I'll have time this year, especially if I read The Wind of Our Discontent. Hannah's, I'm thinking about reading Canterbury Row and Tortilla Flat in August. I haven't read either for 3 decades. Jim's books. That sounds like fun. I'll make it.
That sounds interesting, Hannah. I mean, she's part of hashtag Faulkner in August, but that might go together. Reading Cannery Row and Tortilla Flats in August.
I don't know. Go Down Moses is really a collection of short stories.
Yeah, The Bear and
The Bear is a novella, but the others I think are just short stories.
Yeah, so it's fast read. Well,
Alan, it's not a fast read. It's William Faulkner. It's not a fast read. You got to take your time with Faulkner. Gareth, I'm still amazed he wrote a book about King Arthur. I've heard mixed things about that book. I don't know. All right. So, Gavin, as the guest, you get to talk about what you've been reading or finished reading.
Okay. So, I finished reading probably about half an hour ago, but I only started it this morning. So, I read some before work. I read some at lunchtime, and then 90 minutes after work, and managed to finish The Stepford Wives.
Okay.
Oh.
So a bit of a horror mayhem.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like I think it's the first paperback as well, the first edition paperback for that, which is a proper sort of gothic horror. Women in diaphanous dresses in front of haunted old houses, which is like, yeah, that's pretty on standard. I like I said, I only just finished it. It's interesting. I do like it. I think there's probably something to be said for that with all of this trad wife nonsense that's going on these days as well.
Oh yeah, never thought about that.
That's sort of what I was thinking as I was reading it. I mean, I think you probably think about this a lot differently than the early 70s when it first came out. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Before that, I read end of last week The Castle of Wolfenbach by Eliza Parsons, which I did as a buddy read with. She's a commenter, Cat Jack's Cabinet of Curiosities. I don't know if she is a commenter for you guys, but yeah. So it's one of the horrid novels mentioned by Jane, or mentioned in Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen.
Horrid novels.
Horrid.
That's been really bad.
Well, I think there's Northanger Abbey is a sort of satire on Gothic sensation or sensationalist kind of book, and it's one of those. So it has some Gothic elements in it. They're pretty much front loaded at the beginning of the book. So it starts off like it's going to be a Gothic horror. It doesn't quite end up that way. I'd struggle to say it's a great book, but there's a lot to sort of pick up on it. There's also some funny bits which I don't think were meant to be funny. But, 1790, so it's on the earlier side as far as novels go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I've got another set of those. I've got a whole set of those to read throughout the rest of the year. So some are like famous, like Mysteries of Adolfo, Necromancer, and some just really, I don't think, ever got a reprint. But
okay. Now, from that era, my favorite Gothic novel is The Monk.
I haven't read The Monk yet.
Okay. Nuns misbehaving. in the old tradition.
Yeah, you talk about that book, Greg, the monk.
Yeah, he just sort of indulges himself, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And it's absolutely inappropriate and absolutely absolutely delightful. And it was written in the 1820s, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before the 1850s.
Matthew Lewis.
Matthew Lewis.
Keep writing it down. I never get around to reading it, though. I'll write it down again. Read the monk.
Read the monk. What I did is I got the audio book, which was for free, and the book on Kindle, which is for free. So you can get both.
Free's good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I read The Castle of Otranto earlier this year, so I sort of got the taste for a bit of.
I remember that from when I think I read it in college. Does it have anything to do with a helmet?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is this sort of statue.
We don't spoil it, but it has a helmet.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
And it's a massive helmet, and the main character is a massive helmet as well. So.
Helmet.
Yeah, that was. I didn't quite enjoy that one as much. I thought possibly Wolf and Back holds together better. It's just almost a little bit more plausible. Not very. It's liminal, but yeah. And then I also finished this. So
getting a head start.
Well, I've been doing my 50 Zanes of Grey book project. So this is 4 videos in now, and this is book number 9, I think. So only another 41 Zane Grey books to go. But I'm hoping June on the Range I'll get to knock a few of those off.
I have a son named Zane.
Say again?
I have a son. He's 25. He's named Zane. He pops up here sometimes, but everyone asks us because his mother was an English teacher too, and that's how we met. But everyone asks us, "Oh, after Zane Grey?" No, that she after a Greek god. He was a god of some sort. But I gave him his middle name, Dylan Thomas. He's got like one of those dudes with 2 middle names, DT. But anyway, it's my Zane story. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gavin.
Well, I suppose the other one I mentioned.
You must like him, huh?
Yeah, I'm really getting into it actually. It's and then I read this for Spring into Adventure nonfiction.
Wow, that's cool.
So I did a video on this last week. This is Alexandra David Neal, who's a French-Belgian student of Orientalism and Oriental religions, who decided in the early 20th century that she was going to go to Lhasa, into a place where women, especially European women, were just absolutely not allowed, and she got turned away at the border, so she disguised herself and went in again, and that's this story. And she is absolutely remarkable. I mean, this book only details 6 months of her life. The rest of it just seems as crazy. When she was 18, she cycled. She was living in Paris. She just got up one morning, didn't tell anyone she was going, got on a bike and cycled all the way through France and halfway across Spain, which is something that in the 1870s, if you're an 18-year-old girl, you just don't do.
That sounds remarkable for that age.
And she just, the one thing you don't want to tell her is don't do something. She was an opera singer. She was I think she was the first voice at the Saigon Opera for 3 years. She was a director of a casino in Tunis. She won all these awards in France. When she went back to France, she studied. She became a Tibetan Lama. She wrote dozens of books on Buddhism. She was going to go out and start studying Taoism. She renewed her passport at the age of 100. She was about to go and do it, and then she died at 101.
Sounds like an incredible book.
And that's only 6 months of her life, but that was like really something.
Well, I was going to ask, you said she had to disguise herself like as a man?
No, she so as a Tibetan woman peasant. And she was taking sort of she wasn't washing basically, because if she darkened her skin with like soot from cauldrons and stuff, just to make herself look not I don't think black face, but just to make herself look dirty and grubby, because
Nepal.
people were really against on the lookout for foreigners. And this is a time between Chinese invasions. So this is when we had sort of like Tibetan self-rule, but they just have very strict rules about who was allowed in certain places.
I know a bit about it. Those are Tibetan flags up there, and I've got some down there. But
yeah, I read what's the famous 7 Years in Tibet it was a German fellow.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It was actually very good. It was set mostly before the Chinese invasion, and he was the current Dalai Lama's teacher. He so very heavily influenced our current Dalai Lama. So something I should revisit one of these days. It must have been 20 years ago that I read it, but it was just.
I'd like to read that.
One
of the things I remember is they liked rancid butter.
There's a lot of that at Sampa. So they put sort of tea in butter, and it's usually it's yak's butter. It just does not sound appetizing, but
not at all.
But then they would put it in
but
almost to make a broth of it, or like a strong tea of it. I think hipsters reinvented it a few years ago as bullet coffee, but it's the same sort of idea. I mean, it gave you calories, but that doesn't sound very nice. But she doesn't really sing its praises either. But
well, it's the environment that they live in and the resources they have, and that's what they got.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolute grinding poverty on display. It's like I say, this is between Chinese occupations, but all of the Tibetan treasury was going to I think it was going to Great Britain. They were buying old armaments off them so they could defend themselves. And Britain happy to sell arms to anybody.
Of course. Okay, any others you want to highlight?
I think that's it. I'm reading a couple at the moment. So I'm 130 pages into the full account, which is that conglomeration of Around the World in 80 Days and the other log, Phileas Fogg. So you're reading both books at the same time.
Yeah, I have not been able to get into that. The copy I have was a PDF, and I put it on my Kindle Scribe, and the print is just so small.
It's a little small. That's
I mean, that's just. I guess I could try to convert it to something else, but
I'll persevere. I'll get there. And I also started at the weekend, but I haven't continued with it, but I will do. So I got sidetracked.
That's his first science fiction novel.
Yeah, that's the first culture novel. So reading that as part of the new Futurian Fellowship. So it's a reading group. So there's a few of us doing it. But yeah, that's probably enough to get on with.
Cool. What about you, Alan?
Well, as you know, we're reading another roadside attraction, and the last update
Alan,
I got from you
you're reading another roadside. I think I'm DNF. I got 15 pages through, and there's something about his style.
You don't like it, huh?
I don't like it. And the problem is once you don't gel with a book, you're not gelling. So I don't know.
I guess. All right.
I may try to pick it up again later this week, but as of now, I'm just going like.
We were talking about Tibet and that. There's a Tibet angle in here. And, all right. I don't take it personal, but another DNF of a recommendation I thought you'd like. I'm kind of thinking about Scar Lover now, because that's an odd book too, but it's totally different.
I've read Harry Crews before, and I finished every Harry Crews book I've started.
So all right, well, hopefully that'll be different. then my praiseworthy, my continual Alexis Wright. That's a reading group, kind of big. A lot of just commenters that don't not contact creators. But let's see, Jessica Stalking Kafka's. She spearheaded that, and I'm liking it. It's a long book, and I think I might have DNF'd it if I wasn't with the group and didn't pay $15 for it. But then I started Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath, buddy reading with my dad, and then the group. But I'm not going to comment, of course, in the group, our Vox group about it. But really liking that. I'm on chapter 10. Chapters are really short and fast to read. I think my next Borges story is going to be Foons, His Memory.
Oh, that's a pretty good one. Gavin, are you familiar with Borges?
I love Borges. He's one of my favorites. Great.
I'm relatively new to him. I'm really new, like a year.
Yeah, that's I'm working through the same collection slowly. I'm going to try to take a year to read all the stories. Now he had his surge. I don't know how old he was, but he got his really great stories out. And some of his later stories are interesting, but they don't quite match up to the what's the word? He was the word I'm trying to think of, but he was just out of this world in some of his earlier stories.
He's genius.
And he kind of got pulled back to earth in some of his later ones.
Yeah, I got a copy of the Labyrinth collected stories too on Audible, because the other Audible I have of this, some of the stories aren't in it that I want to read, and they have different translators.
No, that's. I mean, the collected fictions, as far as I know, matches that edition perfectly.
Yeah, right. Why do I have to get the? The Zahar. I didn't have the Zahar isn't in here on Audible.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I don't think. You have to check it. Maybe I might be wrong. I probably am.
I remember reading Zahar earlier this year.
You listening to it too?
I'm listening to it, so
yeah,
I'll check it later. I won't check it now.
Yeah. Well, there was some reason that I bought it. Maybe I don't know, but it had to do with the translation. And then just Joyce, our Finnegan's Wake, is moving along. Famously having a lot of fun. I can't get them to do a live or a live on tape. I keep wanting to do a live on tape with them, and really, like I call it finning, the fin with a group where you just go through it and kind of just whatever. They're reticent to do it, so I have to do my lives other work. That's about it.
Too rich for my blood, Finnegan's Wake.
I decided after doing Ulysses last year, I was done with James Joyce. I'm saying, there's lots of other things out there that I can break my mind on.
Yeah, some people really bites them in the ass, like it did me.
Yeah.
So, but I've been reading Ulysses since 84. My grandma bought me a copy, but only Finnegan's Wake since the mid-90s.
Yeah, so Alan, reading something from the mid-90s to the 2020s is pretty impressive.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it really bit me,
Mm-hmm.
Well, it took him that long to write it, didn't it?
17
years. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but going to Dublin, I've only been there one time, but I long to go back, and I might stay because that's another story. But
that's another story.
Not about Trump or anything, really, just about my life. But going to Dublin's like a James Joyce amusement park. Really. So I might as well move there and settle down if I can someday when I get rich.
I've only been once for fun.
I may be going later this year.
Yeah.
Ireland, maybe. Well, we'll see. So Hannah says for August, I'm also thinking about other Southern writers, White and Black. Jim, whenever we had been to Russia, Moscow, and Ukraine, and Stalingrad, The magical name of Georgia came up consistently from John Steinbeck, a Russian journal. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'd like to read that too.
Leslie says The Stepford Wives is one of my favorites, but it's infuriating. I actually read Rosemary's Baby earlier this year. Or listen to the audiobook again. I had read the book before. It was actually a very impressive, short little novel.
Ira Levin's good. I like him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a proper page turner, but I get what Leslie means about infuriating. It's
I can imagine it, just the datedness of when it was written and what he's talking about may not quite gel with.
Hey, have you ever read Ira Levin's Death Trap or seen the play Death Trap? No. It's a really good play, man. And to see it, Christopher Reeve, Michael Caine, and
no, that's you're talking Mousetrap by Agatha Christie.
No, I'm talking Death Trap by Ira Levin, Greg.
Okay.
Yeah, you check it out. It's a great play, and Diane Cannon's in it too. But it was a play by him. He's a great writer. I went through a period I read. God, Sliver.
Yeah. I haven't read. That was the first Ira Levin I've read, but now I've probably seen the films. So the Boys from Brazil.
Funny Michael Caine.
I've seen the film of Boys from Brazil back in the 70s, or was it the 80s, 70s or 80s? But I have it on my Kindle.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one called This Perfect Day, which, I think it's one of those utopia dystopia books that I think
I've read one of his other thrillers. It was definitely a mystery thriller. Had no supernatural. I can't quite remember the title.
A Kiss Before Dying.
Kiss Before Dying. That was pretty good. Hello, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
The Monk in College in a Course of the Early Novel. Gareth, I read a Zane Grey book in the first June on the Range and liked it. Yeah, that's the year we did the Lone Star Ranger. I read that. Roy says that sounds amazing. Gavin, are there more books by or about this remarkable woman? I love your video about it.
There are. I mean, she wrote about 30 books. I think a lot of them are just about either Oriental religions or about just studies in the Orient. There are books about her because people like to write about her because she's very very well thought of in France. Still, she is seen as one of those explorers. So there seems to be more people have written about her, considering I'd never heard of her sort of 2.5 months ago.
I haven't seen that video of yours, Gavin. I have to check that out. But yeah, you made me double check, Craig. But Ira Levin, Death Trap of 78. It's great.
Okay.
Play.
All right.
Yeah, check it out. You'll like it, I bet. Well, you would.
So Marcia says going to give another roadside attraction some more time. It's getting off to a strange. Yeah, Marcia. It's got off. Like I said, it just put me off when I was reading it. So
yeah, he packs a lot of things in the beginning, setting stuff up, but I can't remember how it ends. But I'm going to finish it.
I wanted to get parts of the corpse and the roadside attraction, and
yeah. Well, when I get to that part, I'll tell you what chapter it's in, and maybe you can check it out again.
I would have been alive, Alan, but I wouldn't want to organize it because cowardice. He's talking about a Finning live, I'm sure.
Oh, what's that? Right? Oh, I didn't see that. Keep it that.
Jim says, yeah, Kiss Before Dying is his favorite Levin. I saw a film, Alan. I enjoyed it. Sleuth was a good one. 2, his play, Veronica's Room, is messed up, but was fun to work on in college. I read Rosemary's Baby last year, says Gareth. Stephen King on writing praised A Kiss Before Dying for its twist. I forgot the twist, honestly. Okay. So I've been reading a couple things last week. And one of the things is I had a video. This is my 6 books that few people read anymore. And I mentioned Arthur Koestler wrote another book. And I mentioned that Arthur Koestler wrote a very famous anti-authoritarian novel, Darkness at Noon. And I got so many negative comments about Arthur Koestler and saying that he wrote an anti-authoritarian novel, even though he did. So my wife was saying, well, why don't you read more anti-authoritarian books and talk about them? So I read Autocracy, Inc. by Anne Applebaum. This is published in 2024. And this is essentially how kleptocracies are taking over democracies all across the world. It's not just the United States. Everything is going to a kleptocracy. And how that is very much could be the future. And I know I mentioned this on the live show with Steve Donahue and Mark. He says, no, it's not the future. It's now. Everything she writes about in this book is happening now. And it's kind of scary, but I haven't reviewed it yet. And I'm thinking of starting a project, and people can comment here and tell me if I should go ahead and do it or if I should sort of back away quietly. My idea is to start an anti-authoritarian Thursday, where every Thursday you talk about a book that's anti-authoritarian, something in the media that's anti-authoritarian, or read an anti-authoritarian poem or story or something like that, just so people don't forget what authoritarian is actually trying to do in this country and other countries. Just sort of a reminder of where we are in the world right now. So I don't know. I'm kind of nervous because it could get lots of negative comments, or it could get lots of positive comments too.
But you could start with civil disobedience and busk it from there, couldn't you?
You could, absolutely. That would absolutely fit. But I picked up this book on Kindle. This is Mr. President by Miguel Angel Asturias. He was a Guatemalan author who won the Nobel Prize in Literature. He's not talked about a lot nowadays. He's one of those Nobel Prize winners that seem to be falling off the radar. But this is considered his best novel. And in Spanish, it's El Señor Presidente. And it's set in a South American country that's never named. The translator says, yes, it's Guatemala. And the president is the Guatemalan president. But in the fictional world, it's just an unnamed Latin American country that's being taken over by a dictatorship, and what it's like to live under a dictatorship. And it's one of the early examples of magical realism. So it's sort of a dense and complicated book, but I'm liking it so far.
I don't think I'd heard of that before.
Well, that's the problem. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and people don't talk about it. Now, the translator mentioned one of the reasons is that its first English translation, he says, left a lot to be desired. It wasn't a very good translation. And in its native Spanish, even some Spanish readers have trouble with the syntax and the language, because he mixes Spanish with some of the native Indian languages to create this sort of hybrid story. And he says it puts even people who read Spanish off because they don't quite get it. It's like you have to be fluent in 2 languages to fully understand the book. So it's good. I mean, I'm not going to try to read it in Spanish. I mean, I could not read a whole book in Spanish myself, but.
Yeah, that must be a real problem. I mean, I'm trying to imagine if you're trying to translate something like Ridley Walker or Clockwork Orange out of English.
You can't.
How would you go about it?
You have to approximate. And that's actually probably a very good example of what this translator is talking about. the author has his own language. I have another book up here by him. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. No, this is someone else. Sorry. I get my Latin American authors mixed up sometimes. But this is another book where he mixes native Indian languages with Spanish that he just creates absolute hell for a translator, which would be like a Ridley Walker or a Clockwork Orange.
There's it's the character in The Name of the Rose, the librarian, who is based on Borges, who speaks in sort of heteroglossia. He's like combined. He's speaking to us English, but then there's French and Italian and Latin and everything jumbled up together. And actually, it might not be him. I think no, it's another character who speaks like that. Sorry, I was getting confused with the librarian. But yeah, there's a character who's like mashing all of these languages together. And I'm thinking William Weaver had to translate that out of Italian into English. Oh. Imagine sort of reading, you've learned Italian, you've become an Italian translator, and you read something, I can't make head or tail of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Umberto Eco.
Well, imagine someone whose second language is English and picking up the original Chaucer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as a native English speaker, I can get through the original Chaucer, but it's not easy.
No, when I started studying Chaucer, I had to have something alongside it so I could get what half of the words meant. Once you get into it, it gets a bit better. Mm-hmm. And because it is English, you can grasp the construction of how it's put together, even if you don't know all of the vocabulary. But if you go back much earlier than that, it gets really, I tune out at that point.
Mm-hmm. So we've got Greg from Ghost Readers in the Sky. Howdy, boy. Greg. Saying hi. Constance says I should go with my anti-authoritarian Thursday, but have a long talk with your lawyer for. I
can't believe you're waiting for permission to talk about anti-authoritarian books.
I don't have a lawyer. We sort of going to hire a lawyer to do our wills since we're that age, but other than that, I don't have a lawyer.
Well, we'll appoint one for you if you can. I think that's what happens, isn't it?
Well, I have to have a check-in every day, say I'm fine, and then one day I don't say I'm fine, and you have to say, I bet he's not fine anymore.
We'll have to do GoFundMe for that. Get you out.
No, they just raid my 401k, and then I'd be broke in old age. But that's the problem is it's really kind of scary saying like, why can't I talk more about dictatorships in books like Mr. President freely in America and not be worried that someone's going to take offense and do something against me? Because we may be at that point very soon. And that's really rather frightening to think that could happen.
I think you're beginning to have a bit of a problem with deference over in your country. We had deference for a long, long time, and it went away in the 1960s and hasn't really come back. Deference. Oh, tucking your forelock, Milad. Your journalists are emasculated.
Mm-hmm. I know that's what makes me the maddest. All the fake news that's been going on for a decade now.
You need some journalists that really sort of nail these buggers to the wall.
Well, that's kind of what I want people to do is that if you had a lot of people talking every Thursday, doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be complicated. Just say something. We don't like what you're doing. But the thing is,
you can count on me. I'll join in, and like Bookish and Hannah and others.
I mean, it could be simple. I mean, I picked Thursday because it could be as simple as reading a poem. There is that poem by Auden. Was it something 38?
God,
there's a great poem.
War poem?
What?
War poem?
It's an anti-war poem or anti-authoritarian. Yeah. It's along the. I mean, anti-war, anti-authoritarian, close enough. I think. Don't pin people down too hard.
Yeah, I mean, Yeats has war poems.
Yeah.
I could think of a few war poems.
Yeah, well, the idea is to open it up to as wide of an interpretation as people who want to participate feel like they can participate in. Don't say it has to be a book review.
Could be an article. I mean, there are still people writing things. They're just not getting.
Yeah, I'm still watching the stuff on YouTube. So are other people I know, like Pat. We talk about it all the time. Not too much, we try not to overly depress ourselves, but I mean, we're cognizant of not doing that, overdoing it. But I still watch like some political stuff. Jim has a good. Oh yeah, let me. Finnegan's Wake's been translated into Chinese, a lot of languages. Believe it or not, there's articles about it. People, that's a whole different study of Joyceans do that. Yeah.
Okay. Constance says you should go ahead, Gray. Okay, Constance. I'll do an initial one this Thursday, talking about these two books, assuming that I finish this El Presidente before then. I think I will. And we'll see. Hannah says, I'll do something to contribute. Excuse me. Sounds like a plan. See if it takes off. See if it takes fire. See if it can
see if it goes viral.
The coals a bit. And Alan, I'll start sending you daily Voxers saying I'm fine.
Okay.
And the day I don't say I'm fine, you'll have to announce to someone else.
Please.
Mm-hmm. I was considering doing a series of videos on the history of the left in Britain. Okay.
It's a bit of a depressing history.
I know. I mean,
it's a bit of a depressing history.
Oh.
The thing is, as an American, I sort of know you have labor and conservatives. And I don't know if that's exactly Democrat to Republican or if it's sort of this.
I just know the Royals.
The conservatives would be closer to your old style Republicans.
Okay.
Labor, depending. I mean, at the moment, I'd probably say they're akin to the Democrats. They have at times been more to the right and more to the left, depending on who was in charge. But it unfortunately is not now a two-horse race. The Reform Party is getting more and more powerful. Now, the Reform Party, they're not, I don't think they're quite MAGA mental, but they are, whatever your guys were called, the tea baggers, whatever came before the MAGA.
The Tea Party, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They were, they're on that sort of spectrum. That's Nigel Farage's party. They're not really a party. They're a company which has subscribers rather than members. So if you're talking about, kleptocracy, the easiest thing to buy around here these days is democracy. So they actually got into local government where I live 2 or 3 weeks back. And that's not going to go well.
Well, the one thing that's encouraging is that in elections like Romania and Australia, you are seeing a backlash saying we really do not want these right-wing people in our place.
The Romania one was very close, though. I don't look at 47% for the fascists. I don't think, at least we're beaten by 2 or 3%. That's not where you'd want to be starting from, I don't think.
But it's a start. I mean, considering he was the other party was expected to win.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, your president has been a great advertisement for the rest of the world. Well, I don't want to say too much about him because he's obviously your guy, not mine. But he is a mendacious flipping bellend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's see.
Still, Mark Carney must be quite grateful to him.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Bookblather's video on fascism? It's terrific. No, I have not seen that one.
I haven't either. I
should probably take a look at that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, Alan, you just reminded me of Eat's Second Coming. That ending is scary relevant.
Yeah, this World War One poem.
Mm-hmm. So yes, Gareth, please, says Hannah. I'll start planning it. Gavin, we are clearly on different sides of that perspective. It's been slow, but it's changed the country enormously. Not quite sure where he's going with that one, but okay.
I think they are ineffective. Obviously, very effective in some ways. Maybe Gareth is talking more about the left as a whole, or I'm probably thinking more of the Parliamentary Labour Party.
Okay.
Wish I knew more about it.
Well, Gareth can inform us.
Yeah.
Oh, Gareth's going to start with
the 14th century.
Well, Peasants' Revolt. So that
and then I'll go there with Ireland.
So Peasants' Revolt is a great place to start. All the workers get together, turn up, and get beaten by the aristocracy, but only because they were. I think they were a little bit tricked into it. But yeah, I mean, we've had our moments. We sort of, we did decapitate one king. That's always good.
I'm not going to say anything about America there because we'll not talk about that. So, Pat, I'm talking in a video that is posting tomorrow about a book that Dave reviewed a few weeks ago, How Fascism Works. Group read, anyone? The author has left Yale for the University of Toronto.
Oh.
I could read that book, Pat. That's one of the things, if I go ahead with this thing, is that I'll be reading a lot more nonfiction and fiction books that are anti-authoritarian, and that would definitely fit. Timothy Snyder's book on fascism. Is it on fascism or is it on tyranny? On tyranny is one I need to reread. I read that in 2016 when it was first published. And something I should probably review again. Hey, Courtney. Hello.
Courtney.
All these expectations are a farce. I wonder if the teabaggers could be a group of older British ladies who are sewing their wet tea bags as self-defense. LOL. I'm using myself here.
Constant.
Nick says, "I'll be interesting what Pat has to say. What you make of it? Dave's video on fascism is one of the best book videos I've seen on BookTube. Full stop." That's impressive, Gareth.
It was good. That was it was a proper manifesto he was giving there.
Absolutely, Gareth. Hey guys, I don't know when things came in so extreme, right or left. What the hell happened to common sense? It went out the window many years ago. The best example I've read about is that actually went out in the 90s when Newt Gingrich took over Congress as Speaker of the House.
I remember him.
And what happened was, it used to be in the United States, if you were a member of Congress, you got elected, you packed up from your state, you bought a residence or rented a residence in the DC area, and you brought your family down. That was tradition. And Newt Gingrich told the Republicans, don't bring your family here. Your Republican daughters may end up dating Democratic boys, and we don't want that to happen.
Yes, I've heard you tell that before.
Well, the problem is, he also mentioned is that suppose you were the wife or husband, I could say, but usually back it was probably wife, of a congressman. One's Republican, one's Democrat. You both go to the same school. You both go to the same parent-teachers meeting. You kind of have to agree with each other and be nice to each other and get along somewhat. But when you're sent off and say, you're not allowed here, you're allowed to say, they're the others. We don't want them. They're separate from us. And that's how this divide started growing.
Yeah.
How about
I remember those days and that, like
which rots from the head down.
It does. I mean, he's so right. If you're two congressmen, your kids are going to the same school, you are going to interact and be civil to each other. They're not the other, not the enemy. You're just different opinions.
I saw Ronald Reagan at Bowling Green State University in the 80s once, flying in a helicopter. Those were tame days when I think about it. Well, not really. I mean, the fall of the Berlin Wall, but I mean, it wasn't crazy. Well, it was pretty crazy, but you know what I mean? It wasn't Trumpian.
Yep. Mick says book sounds another magic 100%. Jim, for me, social welfare is common sense, genuinely. I kind of agree. How fascism works is fabulous, says Hannah. Noam Chomsky's book Manufacturing Consent is worth reading now too. Hannah,
still alive, I think. Oh, Nim Chimpsky. I remember that. Remember Nim Chimpsky, the chimpanzee they named after him? Back in the
Dave is here. We've been saying good things about a video you made, Dave. You probably missed most of it.
Yep. Say his name 3 times.
Yep. There we go, Mick. We've been singing your praises, Dave. Say his name and he shall appear. When you're sending folks to El Salvador without due process of law. Yeah, Jim. I mean, that's one of the most frightening things that's happening. And they're just sending people there. They don't care.
I said in the last week's show, the worst thing about that prison for me would be there's nothing to read. They don't even give you a Bible in there. Nothing. It's maddening. It's driving me nuts.
Mm-hmm. Constance says, Newt also forbade Republicans from having lunch with Democrats. Of course, they're the enemy.
Was he the guy that cheated with his secretary when his wife had cancer?
I can't remember. He was.
I'm just trying to align my moral compass here.
It sounds like Newt Gingrich. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it sounds like him.
It could be any of them.
It could be any of them. Here, Courtney, one thing about opinions, everyone has one. Yep. Hi, Dave, praising your video on fascism. Lee Rowe, hello from Mobile, Alabama. Yikes, Gareth. Got to start driving again, but I'm listening. Hectic day. Olive tore a knee. Oh, poor Olive. She said she tore it. Okay, so let's get off this political thing and start talking about books again. Let's get now, Gavin. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you sent me an email about a project you're thinking of working on.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll talk about it. I mean, I've talked to quite a few people about it now. So 2026 will be 100 years of science fiction if you take it from the first issue of Amazing Stories by Hugo Gernsback of the Hugo's fame. Obviously, it's not the first science fiction, but this is the first science fiction magazine. They were calling it scientifiction at the time. Scientifiction. It didn't stick. So they came up with science fiction instead. But I am going to be doing a video on a book for every year from 1926 to 2026 that is science fiction. So I'm starting early because these have got to be pre-recorded because I'm no way going to fit that kind of recording schedule in. So I've started reaching out to people to get some buddy reads going, record some stuff and start putting stuff up. I'm going to do some of them solo, but yes, anyone who wants to do one of those, let me know. I'll send you the list. So there's no real theme to the ones I've chosen. I've gone for each year and I thought, I'll pick that one. Usually it's something I've not read before. A few of them I have because it's like, I can't really leave this writer off.
Right.
But no, it's a list of 100 books, so you're not going to please everybody. But
no, there were some good books that I have either read and want to reread, or I have not read yet and definitely want to get to. So now a couple.
Yeah, I'd like to buddy read with you.
Cool. I will send you the list.
Great, thank you.
I know you had Children of Time listed on that one.
Yeah, which I have just read last month. Yes, last month.
Okay.
I'll probably sort of give it a quick skim through before I do a video on it. But I was reading it for another reading group. But I do like the Adrian Tchaikovsky I've read so far. I think that was the third one I've read of his.
Now, Pat was in that group, right? Book chat with Pat? Yeah. She talked to me about that book, and I've never read it yet. It's a big one, huh?
500 pages?
600 pages, something like that.
How many?
6. Hold on.
Okay. I'm reading a 600 phrase worthy right now.
Yeah, just shy of 600. And the feature of almost all Adrian Tchaikovsky books is that they're all signed. I think the unsigned ones are the rarities.
Well, he probably lives in your neck of the woods, right?
I think he's in the north.
Okay,
he's a very busy boy.
He writes a lot of books. He must be able to write super fast.
I think he's one of these guys who's just like, you know what, this is my job. I get up, I log on, I start typing, I do my 8 hours. But yeah, just to have that facility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you ever? I think I talked about Michael Moorcock, how fast of a writer he actually was.
Yeah,
he could write a book in a week. Now his books are 200 pages, but still, that's still mighty impressive.
You read about some of these pulp writers, and I think was it Max Brand's like a million words a year. It's absolutely insane. Bob Silverberg.
Yeah.
Bob Silverberg was the same. Philip Jose Farmer. I mean, obviously, we've been reading his books recently. Yeah. Absolute crazy levels of output. Not everything's going to be a hit.
No.
But, it doesn't matter. It's a craft. It gets better the more you practice it. He said, having never written anything.
You know, when I was trying to write myself, I was lucky to get a page a day. It's hard. I mean, for some people, it just like all of a sudden, you know, brain through your fingers or typing just flows out, and it's just like 8 hours. Oh, that's 10 pages or 20 pages, and amazing.
Writers who like to lubricate a little and write a lot. Then the next day, it's all kind of.
Christopher Hitchens was like that.
What?
Christopher Hitchens, he was a British journalist and literary critic. And
Harold wrote Drunk too.
And they mentioned that they met Christopher Hitchens for lunch in an afternoon. And he's talking about his article that he had to deliver by midnight. He had not started writing it yet. And it's like a 5,000 word essay or something. And he was just socking them down. And they were going to say, "You're going to be late." And no, he wasn't late. He was absolutely brilliant. Being drunk and short on time did not stop him from writing good prose.
Got Kerouac, obviously.
Yes.
Get on the old Benzedrine or amphetamines, whatever it was, and
put on the roll. Put on the roll.
Had all the paper rolled up, so he didn't have to bother changing sheets.
Yeah. So he wrote on the road.
Totally opposite of James Joyce.
Or Joyce would write, like, how many, do you have a good day writing, Jim? Yeah, I wrote 6 words. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I just got to determine what order to put them in.
Flaubert was a bit like that as well. He'd be like a couple of paragraphs a day kind of guy, I think. So maybe not all of his career, but certainly for a lot of it, very particular about, I don't know if it's people just being, you know, are you that demanding of yourself? Are you that self-critical that, you know, have you written loads and just scrapped it and honed it down to that, you know, what you consider to be absolutely perfect prose? I don't know.
I'm not familiar with Flaubert. I'm really ignorant about it.
I mean, writing is actually can be very hard work. I mean, at least for me, when I do it does not flow naturally. And I guess there are some people where it just naturally flows. And it's a talent that you have or you don't have.
I used to write a lot.
I can string words together, just not plot structures.
People talking to Dave and poor Olive. I hope Olive gets better. Here's Wondrous Reader. Greg, thank you for recommending Song of Kali by Dan Simmons. I devoured it. Yeah, isn't that impressive for a first novel?
I read that last year. I thought it was brilliant.
It was. I think that was his first novel. Wasn't his first published novel?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. I like him a lot. I haven't read that.
I remember The Rotting Poet. If I'm getting the story right.
It was Dan Simmons' first novel. Yeah, you're right. That's his first novel.
give Olive a hug for us, Dave. And,
yeah.
You know, not on those ribs. Do it on those ribs.
Gareth, I'm definitely gotta focus and pick a few.
Oh yeah. I'm waiting to hear.
Well, you know, Gavin, if you have enough people with you, you might have a buddy for all of your books or nearly all of them.
I've only out of 100. I've only recorded one so far, and that was Stanton Acre Blend. So I didn't think anyone was going to.
Are you not doing these in order? Are you?
No.
Okay.
It's going to be as I get it. So there's going to be no grand arc or theme to this, unless someone wants to tease one out afterwards.
All right. I mean, when I'm doing Horror Mayhem, I did do all my horror stories in order. Just so I gotta, and that's going to be an old video of itself of saying, how do stories progress from 1850 to the 2020s?
I mean, I think just seeing them in a list, you can sort of see how it progresses. And what scares me is the ones that I think, I'll think of something like Consider Phlebas as modern, and then it's like, oh, actually, no, that's 40 years
90s?
old now.
Was it
1988? That was.
Oh, 88. Okay.
And you think, oh, actually, there's been quite a few books since then. But then that's me not paying any attention to anything that's happened in the past quarter century.
Hannah says, I think John Edwards, Democratic candidate for president, was the one who had an affair during his wife's cancer. Okay.
She's right. I remember John Edwards.
Now I remember John Edwards.
Yeah, Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I probably.
Martha's got to go.
I'm gonna find some dirt on Newt now because I know there was something.
I know.
I remember John Edwards as well, which is probably more than anyone in the.
Most people do, yeah.
Anyone in the Democratic Party wants to. Is it Democratic or Democrat Party? I can never remember.
Democratic. Or the Democrats. They're called the Democrats or the Democratic Party. Okay. Past midnight here.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it was in the 80s. Newt Gingrich's wife, Jackie. So he divorced her in 1984. He'd been having an affair whilst his wife was undergoing surgery to treat her cancer. So, classy guy.
Oh, yeah. Poor Olive, yeah. And that's what he says in interviews. He's really disciplined. Hold on. Have I missed something by here? I might have missed one of his comments.
On a writer?
About a writer. I think I missed something by Gavin. Sorry, Gavin. I missed it somewhere in the comments. He did say Children of Time is one of the top 3.
Yeah. He must be talking about, I forget his name.
Oh, Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Tchaikovsky, yeah. Well, what happened was the Audible had a sale. They had I've read Children of Time before my Kindle, but they had the audiobook for $3.99.
Wow.
And I said, I'll buy that for $3.99.
Is it a good book to listen to?
I've never listened to it. I've just
Oh, you read it. Okay.
And then the next day they had a sale where you could buy Children of Ruin, which is the second book, and you could get a second book, not in that it was a limited number of choices, but other books for free. And I picked up Poppy Z. Bright, Exquisite Corpse. So I spent one Audible book credit for both books. So now I'm sort of like committed to rereading the whole trilogy by Tchaikovsky, either this year or next year.
You read Shards of Earth. Sorry, Alan.
I have read the Shards of Earth trilogy.
Oh, I haven't. I've read the first one. I think I enjoyed that more than Children of Time.
Well, the thing is, Children of Time was more serious science fiction. He's more into science and getting through. And Shards of Earth is just space opera.
Yeah, maybe that's why I liked it.
He's just like, I'm going to have a fun time writing the story, and I like the characters, even though they're not in-depth characters. You know what I'm saying? They're a little bit archetypal characters, but you enjoy them. Who's like Ollie? I know you haven't read the whole trilogies, but she's a fun character to read about.
Yeah.
When are we reading Greg Ellis, Greg?
Pardon me, what?
Greg Ellis, The Bone
Tree. I'm gonna try to listen to the audiobook in June.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll do it too. Cool.
It's like a 20-hour book, or maybe a 26-hour book. So
yeah,
it's a long one.
Yeah, I got all 3 of them on a Audible.
I did too. 1 credit. It's great.
Pass it up. I like him a lot.
Here's Jim. Here's Gareth. When I wrote my novels, I tried to stick to 3,000 words in a night. That kept me locked into the. That's incredible, Gareth.
Yeah, it's a lot of words.
That's Words flowing out of the brain with ease.
Hemingway only wrote 500 a day. And he'd mark it on his wall like a little mark.
Courtney says, the reason I'm a reader, no writing talent. Hey, Chris, I'm late.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Chris
is someone I want to tap up.
Now, Jenny, here is,
read, I think.
Something, if you have the ability just to sit down and have the words flow, go for it. If, like me, you're stuck, you're sitting there, okay, I have a sentence. What sentence comes next? Is that sentence appropriate? Does it match, the style of the last sentence? That's where I got wrapped up. And
I think to begin with, I think you just got to just put one foot in front of the other, haven't you? I suppose.
Well, there's different types of writers. Like Alan was saying, Hemingway did 500 words per day. Kurt Vonnegut said he would write one page.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And then he'd rewrite the page and rewrite the page until the page was perfect. And then he'd go on to page 2.
Some people use an outline. Some people just go like totally off the cuff. And, I used to write a lot. I was in the writing program at Arizona State and all that and published a few things. But I don't know what happened. I got into like other things like art and music and just, I don't know. I go from different hobbies to different hobbies. I guess I'm kind of lucky like that. I don't get bored a lot, but I haven't written it. Well, I still write poems. I mean, I was published in the Stygian Society, and that was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, and they paid us. They're on BookTube, Stygian Society. Hey, Vio used to do a lot of cool videos, but he doesn't really post anymore. But and some other stuff too. I can't remember the little things I sent out, but I used to send out a lot. The small press, university press. It was fun, but so much to do. Takes time.
Garrett says July is Rocket Summer, so it's themed for sci-fi. Yeah, I've already got some outlines for Rocket Summer. I'm not quite sure about the 30s and 40s, what I'm doing yet. I think I'm probably just going to do short stories for the 30s and 40s. Not sure if I have any novels picked out, but that's okay. But lots of stuff for afterwards. Now, the thing is, Gareth, you have a whole list of books that I could pick from in 30s and 40s. I know some looked interesting. What's the one?
There's a fair thing. Well, I mean, the thing about the 30s, it can be any point before 39, can't it? I think the first week is...
Yes, the first word, anything 30s or before.
Because I've got... Where is it? Oh, let's say I've lost it. I've got a Muriel Yeager to read for the early one. She was really interesting. I read a book of hers last year called... what it's called. The one I've got now is The Man with Six Senses, but the other one it was like a Brave New World type of book. It was written before Brave New World, and it's about a guy who goes to sleep. He's in the 19 teens, goes to sleep, wakes up in the future where everything is perfect, but it's not perfect.
Oh, wait a second! Isn't there a book Looking Forward by Edward Bellamy?
Yeah, looking backward to the...
Looking backwards or looking forward?
Yeah, I think it's looking backward to the... He's writing in the he's writing in the early 20th century, looking backwards to the future sort of thing. But I mean, there's a few things like this where someone goes to sleep and wakes up. That Stanton Coblentz thing was like that. I mean, Rip Van Winkle's like that. It's just a way of getting around... you're not time traveling. You're just fine. When the Sleeper Wakes by H.G. Wells, you get all of these characters who are just in suspended animation or some kind of coma or trance. Oh, I can't for the life of me think what that Muriel Yeager book was called now. I'll have to find out. That
reminds me, when people do time travel stories, they fall apart when they try to explain time travel. You think, well, these are the rules of time travel.
Yeah.
And that's when they fall apart, because they just never make sense.
You'll never be able to make it make sense.
And which I mentioned the Time Machine by H.G. Wells. He just has a time machine that goes in the future.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone.
Going into the future solves a lot of your problems. It's when you go into the past that you get into all of your paradoxes.
Right.
Because anything you do in the past is going to affect your present. Anything you do in the future, that's just fun, isn't it?
Right.
Well, I just got done reading Dark Matter, and if you guys remember, they had like that box, but people had to inject themselves in order to go through the door, and they had to like prepare what they wanted. Remember, they had to write out kind of what they wanted.
I don't remember that level of detail. It's a book you read in one gulp and then forget the next day.
Yeah. You must have been okay with it, or you'd have something to say about the time travel, though.
That's because I read it in one day, Alan. I forgot.
Yeah. I understand.
That book was called The Question Mark, by the way. It's 1926. So it was published.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was picked up by Virginia Woolf and her husband. So they published it. I think she was a flatmate of Dorothy L. Sayers as well for a time. She wrote some science fiction and then stopped.
Okay. All right. So, Constance, one of you mentioned Michael Moorcock writing a book. That was me. He wrote a lot of books, and most of them are out of print now. Unfortunately, it's like you can't get them.
Luckily, you can still pick them up in secondhand bookshops here. I get very envious of some of the science fiction and fantasy paperbacks that you can get in the States that you just don't find here. But we've got our Michael Moorcock.
Yeah, I mean, in the United States, they used to be common. You used to walk into a used bookstore, take this, and now nothing. People are hoarding.
I'll make a video for you, Gavin, at Powell's.
Say again?
I'll make a video for you at Powell's next time I'm there, and I'll make an effort to go right to the science fiction.
Alan, I'm willing to bet a voodoo donut, that they're not going to have very many Michael Moorcock books in Powell's, if any.
I bet they'll have others though, but I'll make a.
But it's one of those authors that in the United States, if you see it on the shelf, you're going to buy it.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Buy it.
You should tell me.
What's worse is westerns. Western films were popular here. Western series were popular here.
Yeah.
And some Western writers were popular here, but we didn't get the whole 40s and 50s wave of, or certainly the 50s wave of Western paperbacks. They start again in the 60s and 70s, but they're written by British people.
You were the one that the Jubalcade.
Jubalcade, yes.
I picked up a Kindle version of the first book. It was cheap. It was $2.99 or something like that. So I said, I'll give that. Now, is he the same author that did The Edge, or is it just buddies?
I think the first few were him. I think so. Charles R. Pike is the author of Jubalcade, and I think the first three were written by Terry Harknett, who was also George G. Gilman. And then some other writers, another writer or other writers started producing them. But the first Jubalcade I read, I think was number 6 in the series, and he'd already stopped writing them by that point. But then halfway through the book, Edge turns up as a character in the Jubalcade book, and they're in a bar fight where they're on the same side, and then Edge just goes away again. It's like a cameo appearance in someone else's novel.
I can imagine just two authors having fun with that, sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put your character in my book.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that would be great if you had writer friends like that. And
so I mean, I don't know if Roy is still here, but I was speaking to Roy about these guys at the weekend. He knows a lot more about them than I do. I'm going to find out about them for June on the Range, but there's a loose conglomeration of writers, all in London, all writing westerns, and they all occasionally would sort of frequent the same pub in Piccadilly. So they were called the Piccadilly Cowboys.
Okay.
And they were all writing these hyper-violent westerns. So I think they're all sort of influenced by the sort of the spaghetti westerns and that side of it. Not, it's all Clint Eastwood rather than Randolph Scott.
Well, when I was in Ireland in '96, and I was from Phoenix, Arizona, they were wild about hundreds of questions about Arizona and the westerns, and they thought we still had horses, and I mean, some people do, but not like they thought.
It's what you're brought up on the TV when you're a kid. It's like, well, that's what America is like.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you got to think about it, the Wild West, and it didn't last that long, but I mean, it's something that never really happened before, where it's just like, okay, all right, admittedly, you're grabbing someone else's land, but it's like, oh, do you know what? Here it is. Here's a land grab. Get there as fast as you can. Stake your claim. We'll make it legal afterwards. Sort yourselves out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think anywhere else in the world that's ever happened, and I can't. Lots of colonialisms happen, but it's all very, government run by, different countries doing it in their different styles. Where it's just like, you know what? Anyone who turns up in New York, get yourself a wagon, get yourself out there.
Claim.
Yeah.
Get a red flag on it. Yeah.
And what's curious is that most of the Western stereotypes aren't really true.
No.
I mean, the gunslingers, we all know what the gunslinger is. And I saw some comments that says there were no gunslingers in the Old West. No. You did not go out in the street and have a duel.
Go to Tombstone, Arizona and say that.
Well, now the thing is, when they say it doesn't have, there's probably those few exceptions, like the OK Corral where you had a gunfight. But you did not have people walk into the bar and meet me outside with your shooting iron.
Yeah.
I mean, how many Westerns have that scene?
True. I would have been the town drunk. I would have been dead so fast, or gambling and shit. Man.
I had you down as the preacher.
Who?
You.
The preacher?
And the pulpit. It's the Old West. You can still have a drink. But
I got to make a living somehow.
I would have wanted to learn to play the piano.
Yeah.
That word, he could be the piano player in the whorehouse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who's going to shoot the piano player in the whorehouse? They always live.
Everyone likes them. Well, sometimes they're getting out, getting out of the way.
Getting out of the way of the bullet's fine.
I went to the studio lot in LA where they used to film all the old silent westerns.
Wow.
And that was something, because it's odd. It's if you were to look down on it from above, it is a spoke. It's like a spoked wheel. You've got 6 roads going into the central square, and they'd be filming a different western on each of these things, and it didn't matter because they're all silent, so it's not like the sound's going to bleed from one to the other. And then they would take it in turn to use the square for the final showdown. Real
I love Hollywood
factory output.
I've only been a handful of times, but I love Hollywood. I love Venice Beach.
I went just the once to there. I saw the.
Like you took a big tour of how Hollywood, the studios are. I've only walked the streets. I tried to see Jimmy Kimmel, but couldn't get tickets.
When I was there, it was Arsenio Hall, so that probably dates it.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember him.
And he was interviewing Patrick Duffy.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. I remember him.
Hannah's talking about affair during cancer treatment. Seems much too common. Yep.
Yeah, that was shitty of him.
Constance says, asking Garrett, how far are you in game? Oh, she's talking to Jenny. Jenny about 1/3. Okay, they're talking to each other. Content says just vomit out your first draft. 2 types of writers: those who finish and those who don't. I'm being hard on myself, not you. You know, I think I'm the type of person who takes the anti-nausea medicine. You start writing, so I can't vomit it out.
Yeah, that's a good point, though, Constance. And I didn't know you were a writer, Constance. I'll have to talk to you about that. That's good. Yeah, I agree with her statement there. I mean, I never made outlines, and like when I did, the more it seemed like the harder I'd work on a short story. I have a couple abandoned novels too, like hundreds of pages. But the more I would work on something, I wouldn't publish it. I published one and got paid for it once. So I point over here. It's right over there. I wrote it like in a day. The horror story. But I used to send shit out.
So Mick says, in my youth, you couldn't move for J.T. Edson books. Now, rare as hen teeth. Okay.
You know him, Greg?
I think I saw some at a used bookstore and I just didn't pick any up. But now I'm going like I should have picked them up.
Is he a Western writer? Or?
He was a Western writer. He was a British Western writer who I don't think ever set foot in America. But he probably watched a lot of episodes of The High Chaparral. And
then he got Oscar Wilde doing that American tour. He went out to the Wild West and that. Remember? I'd like to read that. I think doesn't he have a book on that? When he toured America, Oscar Wilde? Or I know they wrote books about it.
I don't know if he wrote about. He may well have written something himself. I don't recall what it was if he did. But then, I mean, Dickens used to go on speaking tours. I don't know how far west.
Yeah, I think Dickens died on one, didn't he? Didn't he die speaking? I don't know if that's a true story or not. But Dickens, he was famous for.
He died mid-book, which is annoying. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, Drood. That's a Dan Simmons book I read, Drood.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot better than The Fifth Heart, too, by the way, Greg.
I know. I read Drood. It's good.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Simmons had a time when he was just pumping out really good books. He started getting weaker with his books as he started getting older. Drood was his last really good one. Then he wrote a thing called Black Hills, which was not as good. And he started progressively getting weaker and weaker. I think he has some sort of health issues at this point. He says he has a final book, or there's a final book in the works, and it keeps getting a publication date, and he keeps getting pushed back. So it doesn't sound like he's finished it.
Well, that's interesting to know. I didn't know all that.
Yeah, he had a good adventure story with Ernest Hemingway. Because when Ernest Hemingway was living in the Florida Keys, and it's during World War II, and they're doing some anti-German spy work.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. All right.
Gavin? Are we going to have a Hemingway after Steinbeck?
No.
No, not a fan.
No, I don't dislike Hemingway. I just don't feel as strongly towards Hemingway, you know. But maybe someday we'll have a winter of Hemingway instead of a summer of.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm trying to get
or something.
I'm trying to get a Kerouac in 26.
Well, if you wait till 27, it's 70 years since On the Road.
Yeah, I like Dharma Bombs, and I read Subterraneans.
Dr. Sachs.
I haven't read that.
I have Dr. Sachs, but I've never read it.
Yeah, I did go through a Kerouac stage. I don't know how many I've read. I'm sure they've sort of found. Didn't they find one like The Night in the City or something, like a very early novel? I don't know when that
Town
was.
in the City is his first, isn't it?
Hey, pardon?
Town in the City.
Is it Town in the City? I think that was his first, but I mean, it's
his first.
like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's first published. I think it's his first written. I'm not sure.
I don't remember either.
It's such a. I used to love the Beats, but it's a very close knit circle of writers. There were people who were called the Beats just because it sort of suited the publishers to get them to latch onto it, and I don't quite know where the demarcation is with the Beats.
I don't know either. I mean, I read some Ginsberg in college. I've always liked Ginsberg.
I like Burroughs.
Burroughs is just
You out there?
I think he kind of ruined his mind with drugs and never quite.
No, I haven't read a lot of Burroughs, so I haven't read like Nova Express, and I have read
one of his later novels on my shelf. Hold on, let me see what it is. I'm always curious about it.
Yeah, so I've read Junkie, I've read Queer, and The Naked Lunch, and
I've read those.
Something else as well. And
I've got a book about him I'd like to read too. It's pretty good sized book, probably like 400 pages, maybe 5.
I read a biography or listened to the audio book biography of Burroughs, but I have this one
by Miles something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I read that book too. That was good.
Cities of the Red Knight.
Okay, yeah, I haven't read that.
Yeah, I found a first printing.
I've got a record album of Burroughs talking. I showed that before. It's like a white.
It's kind of neat. It has color on the title page.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So maybe we can do like a Beat Summer or something like that.
Okay.
You do Burroughs, Ginsberg, Kerouac,
Gregory Corso, Lawrence Ferlinghetti.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, we're going to do Mishima early in the year. Yoko Mishima early in the year.
Have not read any.
He did Spring So. If Chris from Luminal Space is still here, he'll praise him. He's the one that says we really need to do this.
Oh, okay.
And when he was in the open mic, we sort of agreed that we're going to do Pinch On January, February, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then do Mishima January to be
How do you spell Mishima, Greg?
June. It is Mishima. Mish.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Mishima. So we'll do. They'll take us to June. So maybe after June we can do the Beats.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, here he goes. He's still here. Looking forward to do Mishima with you. There we go.
Excellent. Some point later this year, we've got to fit in the final Riverworld.
We do. Maybe I don't know that would not fit for Rocket Summer because that was 80s or 90s.
Yeah. I'm quite happy to shift it to August.
I'm happy to.
Are you doing Framed in September again this year?
Almost certainly going to do Framed in September. I mean, it's Elizabeth's baby, so she'll decide if she wants to do it actually, but okay. And you had a comment, Alan.
Oh, okay, Constance. Yeah, right. That would be great.
Poetry, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do the John Berryman Dream Songs, Constance? Doing that in June and July, too. Pile it on, more and more.
Now, are we doing just the 77 Dream Songs? Or are we going to do the whole collection called Dream Songs?
IDK.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I might kind of kick it off by some of, like, if anyone has any favorites. I know you have a couple, and I have a couple. But I don't know how we're going to.
Okay. All right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, Pat might have some input.
Maybe.
And you.
Hey, Sean D.
Hey, Sean.
Popped in.
Hey, Sean.
And unfortunately, Sean, I think we're just getting ready to wrap up pretty soon because my voice is getting a little hoarse here.
Were you drinking a
I
cerveza?
need that rum.
Were you drinking
I
cerveza?
was drinking a cerveza.
Ah, yeah, because you got the party going on upstairs, the
We got the
card
party going on, and I'm out of sweet tea.
Oh, you are? I think I'm going to start drinking sweet tea more, too. I used to drink that a lot back in the day.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, any other projects you want to discuss that are upcoming that you're really excited about this year?
I could be doing book trek for the first time ever.
I've never read a Star Trek book in my life.
Neither have I.
Oh. Yeah.
Has someone recommended a Star Trek book for people who don't read Star Trek?
I'm going to go. One of them I'm going to read is one of the James Blish collections because I like James Blish. And when I found out he was writing Star Trek, I thought that might be a good place to start with the first year. But I'd always put off Star Trek and Star Wars because they're just, I feel they were going to be absolute time sinks because there are so many of them.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like, if I were to do it, I'm not committing. I would want to get one of the old original stories.
So yeah, I've got one which is going to be I don't know where it is at the moment, but it's a Dr. McCoy centered story. So I figured that'd be a good start because he was one of my favorites, McCoy.
Yeah, I like the TV shows. I like Bones.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Spock, really. Everyone did, but this is a cool show. I'll have to look for some for you, Greg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, Alan, they have to be dirt cheap. Don't buy a $10 paperback because once you put shipping in, then it's just not worth it,
Yeah, and then you probably have it anyway.
No, I don't have any Star Trek books. I can hear.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
you don't. I mean, if you see the little free library, absolutely grab it. But
yeah, I mean, if you wanted it, you would get it yourself.
Yeah,
something.
They're probably cheap on Kindle. So
yeah.
So Constance, I'd love to join you for Dream Songs. I will look for it. Money is a bit of an object, but I can cast a spell, I guess. Hold on, I have my Dream Songs on Kindle. I don't think it was expensive. Let me see. Now I can read it on my Scribe, so the poetry's lined up correctly. On a little device, it may not be so great, but let's see what the price is.
Yeah, he doesn't have long lines either. So I don't think it'd mess up the stanzas or anything. Reading on a Kindle.
$13. No, $19 for the paperback. $13 for the Kindle. Yeah, that's expensive. Maybe, Constance, depending where you are, maybe your library has some that you can join in on.
And I have an extra copy that's pristine. I wouldn't mind giving it away, Constance, because, I'd like to have you have a copy of the book because he's got his own rhyme scheme and all that. It's really neat, I think.
Jenny says you'll have to get an apron and a tray for all the ladies upstairs. Well, she's got gentlemen too. It's mostly couples. It's mostly
Could be a Stepford husband.
Maybe so. Pat says I read a bunch of the old original Star Trek books last summer, including some James Blish. Okay.
I hope the Blish is good.
All right, I'll take a look on Kindle and see if they're dirt cheap. Well, anything else we want to talk about before we call it an evening?
On Saturday, I saw a first folio Shakespeare, a second folio Shakespeare, a third folio Shakespeare, and a fourth, all in a row. That was good.
Was it a museum?
It was the British Library.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a charity shop. £10 each.
Yeah. Someone mentioned this, that they're going through like a thrift shop, used bookstores, and they're picking things out, and they saw hardcover Great Gatsby, first edition.
Crazy.
And I guess they went up. Okay, here's $2.
Oh.
No, my problem is
I feel terrible doing that at a charity.
The thing is, if it were a real charity, I'd feel bad. Some of our charities down there, like a Goodwill, they're kind of a sketchy charity. They do some good, but they're still a for-profit organization that basically gets people to give all their junk away and then sell it and do a little bit of good. So if it were Goodwill, I wouldn't mind doing it. But if we're like an animal charity, I would feel bad.
Okay, Constance, well, she made a comment. Go ahead and send me your address, and you got the copy. Cool. Yeah, I give books away, not a whole lot, but whenever I can, I do.
All right. Let's call it an evening. And Gavin, thanks so much for showing up.
Great show.
It's been a blast. Thanks everyone in the chat room for watching and leaving comments. And hope to see you all again sometime in another show.
See you later, guys.
Have a great night, everyone.